Hey, how are you? I'm Slice of Otaku, and with you today, I want to quickly discuss the incredibly brief flashback we received from Garnet in the episode Gemcation. Now, it seems like a lot of people are really upset with how long this flashback lasted, which was less than 10 seconds. And I understand it because, with Steven Universe, flashbacks typically exist as entire episodes of their own, and here, we got so little because Steven didn't care to listen, which sort of emulates the way Steven was during the early days of the series, failing to ask the questions most people in his situation would. And yeah, it was a major tease to have such valuable information dangled in front of our faces only to be retracted, and when it first happened I was salty for sure, but I don't think it's as big of a deal as I've seen some people make it out to be. At the end of the day, this is the Steven Universe formula. They've been doing this forever now, and there's no way that they would suddenly hand all of this information to us at once. When it comes to the unknown and the secrets being withheld from us, the flow of information is gradual. They may give us a taste, but never the whole plate, and so sure, Garnet didn't get the chance to elaborate on what exactly the image we see is, but we can gather a bit of information from it on our own. Information that we will for sure be able to call back to once we receive something that connects to it later on. But with that being said, let's move on to actually breaking this image down. So firstly, we have a whole cast of crystal gems here surrounding Pink Diamond, which we'll for sure touch upon more in a second. But you may notice that there is no rose quartz here. And I wonder why that is. Because in pretty much all the instances in which Pink Diamond is brought up, rose is also somehow included as well. But here, we have an exception to that, which is surely intentional. And not only is rose quartz missing, but so are the members of Pink Diamond's entourage, which is an oddity that, based on Blue Zircon's words in the episode The Trial, seems to have occurred at the time of her shattering as well. And although it is possible that the two of these instances are one and the same, I'm doubtful due to the inclusion of Bismuth. I've always been under the assumption that Bismuth was bubbled prior to the shattering of Pink Diamond, and that's because as far as everyone knows, Rose shattered Pink Diamond, and so if Bismuth and her breaking point mind state knew about that, I think the whole issue would have gone differently. But now that I've gone and mentioned Bismuth, let's identify the other two mysterious gems whose silhouettes don't match any gem type we've seen thus far. And guys, I have definitely seen your comments. Are these two in fact Biggs and Snowflake, or maybe even Crazy Legs, the gems that Bismuth mentioned right after she was unbubbled? Well, right now I'm gonna go with the most likely, which is something that I opted out of saying before when we first received this image in the promo, and that's just because this is solely a gut feeling. There's not really much evidence to support this, but it's whatever at this point because a lot of the time gut feelings end up being the case anyways. But yeah, something that has always perplexed me about the names Snowflake, Biggs, and Crazy Legs is that they're not gem names. And as far as we've seen thus far, gems refer to themselves and other gems as either the type of gem they are or their sort of serial number. For example, our amethyst would either be Amethyst or Amethyst Facet 5 Cut 8XM. We only have gem names like Eyeball or Navy because Steven imposed his own human concept of nicknames upon them in order to specify. And so for these gems to oddly have nicknames, I'd assume that they came to be due to human interaction, which would be a very interesting story of its own. And actually it reminds me of a lot of Steven Universe fanfiction and OCs I've seen people come up with. And I just really like the inclusion of these two gems here because it sort of gives us something to look forward to. Of course, eventually learning about them and what exactly happened to them would be great and surely interesting, but I'm more so talking about how the image of the crystal gems compares to now. This seems to be the original starting lineup for the crystal gems: Rose Quartz, Garnet, Pearl, Bismuth, and apparently Snowflake and Biggs, also Crazy Legs. But now, so much has changed. Rose is gone, Snowflake, Biggs, and Crazy Legs are no longer in commission, and Bismuth is bubbled. But to take their places, we have gems with the potential for growth. Steven to obviously take the place of Rose, and Peridot, Amethyst, and Lapis to take the places of Snowflake, Biggs, and Crazy Legs. Then again, I guess Lapis isn't exactly here right now, but you get my point. Things like this when it comes to superhero teams and comics are really cool to me, so I'm happy to see it make its way into Steven Universe as well, and Rebecca Sugar likes comics, so maybe there's inspiration from there. Moving on, the next thing we have to talk about are what look to be dual-wielded gem destabilizers being held by Pink Diamond, which I think is absolutely epic, but for sure makes me question some things. The first time we see a gem destabilizer is in the episode The Return, where Jasper uses it to absolutely decimate the crystal gems by taking out Garnet, their leader and strongest combatant, in a single blow. And from this, I was under the impression that they had never seen gem destabilizers before, that this was Era 2 technology that they were unfamiliar with considering they defected during Era 1. And on top of that, I just can't see a purpose for such weapons during Era 1 to begin with, considering a rebellion of gems was unheard of prior to the War for Earth. And this also leads me to believe that Pink Diamond herself does not project a material weapon since she's here holding forged ones. And the whole gem destabilizer ability stems from Yellow Diamond, so it's a bit weird for a fellow Diamond to be using a lesser version of that, but I don't want to exactly cement my feelings on this just yet because all we have here are a bunch of silhouettes, so there aren't many hard facts that are set in stone just yet. But I just want to point out that Pink Diamond's hands are massive, like they are really big here. Like, I can't be the only one who thinks that. Let me know if you think that her hands are just really big for some reason. But lastly, I want to bring our focus onto Pearl because a silhouette of Pearl may be considered more telling than any other because of the various forms she has taken on over the years. Here, she has a hairstyle that we don't really see until Steven is born. During the episode The Answer, which takes place when the rebellion was still young, it's slightly different, and when Greg and Rose first began to date in episodes like We Need to Talk, it's slightly different. So, I mean, this could either be credited to a midpoint between those two time periods where she had a hairstyle which resembled her current one, which I'm doubtful of, or the Crewniverse just didn't pay all that much attention to that detail and kept it as simplistic as possible to make it clear that this is in fact Pearl, which I feel is a lot more likely. And also, you may notice that she is holding her spear rather than her swords that she has in the episode The Answer, which could possibly serve to further reduce credibility for the idea of her being the one to shatter Pink Diamond with a sword. But then again, who knows? I feel like this flashback at the moment can tell us both a whole lot and nothing at all. For me, it seems to be something that will definitely get better with time, and as we form a better understanding of that specific time period, I'm sure we'll come to understand this all the more and come to recognize and see things that we may not at the moment. But let me know what you think. Just how accurate of a depiction do you think this is, and did I miss anything? Go ahead and leave me everything in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching and have an awesome day. I love you.